Hello, it's Sammy here, back again with another video, and today I'm going to be discussing the Newcastle United takeover. And there's not been an interview this week, but there should be two coming next week, and two really good guests. But this week I'm going to be talking about the Newcastle United takeover, and you've definitely heard of it. Mike Ashley, who is the current owner of Newcastle United and is a pretty terrible owner, is selling the club for about 300 million to three owners or three stakeholders in the club. So it will be the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, who will own the majority of the club, and then you have Amanda Staveley from the UK, who owns 10%, and the remaining 10% will be owned by the Reuben brothers, who no one really knows anything about, quite secretive. But the main talking point is 80% public investment fund coming from Saudi Arabia, the Crown Prince bin Salman, who is heading it. And there's been a lot of questions about it, a lot of celebration, a lot of misery, but a lot of sadness about some of it. Newcastle United have a huge fan base. 50,000 seats sold out at St James's Park every week. You'll never really see empty seats at St James's Park. Loyal fan base, and they've been treated badly by Mike Ashley. Everyone knows that. He treats his staff badly, he's treated the club badly, he's run the club badly. There's been no ambition, there's not been money that's been actually invested into the club. So he's had to sell up due to the coronavirus. He's kind of he's been forced into this situation, because in 2018 Amanda Staveley came to him. He said that he didn't want to work with her and he didn't want to sell, and it didn't look like he was selling anytime soon. But due to this, a lot of his company is going into administration. He needs this money, and Saudi Arabia have stumped up with the cash, and for them this is like a drop in the ocean. There's been a lot of rumours Manchester United may be getting bought out by the Saudis, but it looks like it's going to be Newcastle United. And their fans have come in with optimism, some with caution. Some have likened it to Manchester City's takeover bid in 2008, but there are some sort of issues. There's financial play now, financial fair play that's been brought in now, and that's to stop clubs like another Manchester City or Chelsea being set up, and to stop clubs going bust. So I don't know if it will be to the same extent and the same extent of their immediate success of Man City. 3 years into the Sheikh Mansour's reign, he got them an FA Cup and the silverware just piled in from then on, and you've seen the club that they are now. They've been building towards the moment that they are in right now with Pep Guardiola, playing against Real Madrid in the Champions League. This is what they were planning for. They were planning for this moment. The academy facilities are up there with some of the world's best. They have some of the world's best academy talent. So for them, it's worked out perfectly. It's improved their image, and that's what they wanted to do. But for Newcastle, it might prove to be a bit more difficult, with, as I mentioned, financial fair play. We don't know that if they could spend that sort of money and cash immediately because of financial fair play regulations. But that money from the Saudi Arabians can allow them to run the club in a better way than it's being run, because at the moment it's being run poorly by Mike Ashley, and everyone knows that. So they could, in theory, boost academy facilities, boost training ground facilities, try and change things with the fan base, the stadium, everything. Just change the aura, change the feeling around Newcastle, and invest in academy talent, invest in everything around the club. Obviously they're not going to be able to spend like £300-400 million in the transfer window. It's just not going to be able to happen, but they could boost their club into the right direction. And clubs like Leicester, Wolves, Sheffield United have shown with smart investment, and not necessarily a lot of money being put, but smart investment and well-run owners, well-run clubs, have shown that it is possible to put your club into a competitive state and are able to challenge the top six, and especially the way the top six is right now. You know, a lot of the clubs, even Manchester City, really in a transitional phase. So, you know, it is possible for Newcastle to, you know, move up the league, but you know, I think it's far-fetched to say, you know, Mbappe. I think people are like just taking the mick a bit there, but you know, I think they could push on and really become maybe some sort of a threat. There's been some talk of the Steve Bruce, the manager, leaving, and I think we would all expect that. I think Steve Bruce has done a decent job with the limited funds and limited backing that he's had at Newcastle, because Newcastle United at the moment is a very, you know, unaspiring, quite poor squad that they have. But they've managed to stay around mid-table-ish and got some big results, Chelsea at home, United at home. So, you know, they've done quite well considering what their squad is and what Mike Ashley has invested. I know you're going to say £40 million Joelinton, but to be fair, they haven't used Joelinton well, and he has been pretty poor. But Newcastle United, I think the fans, in terms of a football sense, should be quite optimistic about the club. You know, you've seen what good investment and what good backing does to a club, so they should be quite excited. But for the manager, Steve Bruce, I think Steve Bruce himself knows that he's going to get sacked, or he's going to be made to resign or something like that, because they'll be looking to try and make their mark. You know, you've had rumours of Pochettino, rumours of Allegri, like these sort of managers, like world-class managers. And Newcastle will look to snap one of them up. You know, Pochettino and Allegri, they're both out of jobs. If I was Newcastle, I'd go for Pochettino. You know, he's a proven club builder in the Premier League. You know, Southampton, Tottenham. So I think Newcastle could really step them up and maybe take them to, you know, the challenge in that top 6 or top 4 in, you know, 3, 4, 5 years. So we're back, and we've not seen really what Pochettino can do. You know, he's never really been fully backed and with the players he's wanted and everything that he's wanted. But you know, Pochettino at Newcastle could be like a real threat, because they've got maybe a couple good players. You know, you see him Saint Maximin and some of those sort of players. I think Jamal Lascelles is not too bad, but you know, that squad does need an overhaul, and I think those Saudis will be happy to provide that. But a lot of the criticism has come for the Premier League. You know, from Amnesty International, they've asked and they've said, they've written a letter saying that they should really consider and strongly consider if they should allow, you know, Newcastle United being bought out by this public investment fund from Saudi Arabia. You know, Saudi Arabia are trying to clean up their image, you know, with the Vision 2030. You've seen Anthony Joshua against Andy Ruiz 2 being at Saudi Arabia. They've had concerts. They're trying to get more boxing fights over the line. I think they've got some sort of deal with Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, so you could expect more fights being there. I think they've even staged like Amir Khan fights, an Amir Khan fight there. So they are trying to push the image, but there are still a lot of human rights issues and ethical issues and issues that are definitely worth bringing up when it comes to Saudi Arabia. So that is a very valid reason to why they shouldn't be buying out Newcastle. And you've seen as well, beIN Sports, which is a Qatari-backed TV broadcaster, has backed against it as well. You know, Qatar against Saudi Arabia. So, you know, for Newcastle, you might look at it as in a step in the right direction as a football club, but in terms of morally and ethically, you know, where that money's come from and the people that are behind that sort of money, what they've done in terms of ethics and morals is, you know, it is quite worrying in terms of a human rights issue, and Amnesty International are well in their rights to, you know, bring up that sort of concern. But you know, it does look like it will go ahead, and I think the Premier League will allow this move to go ahead. And for Saudi Arabia, it's a smart move because they've got a very strong loyal fan base, one that's been awfully treated by Mike Ashley, and on top of that, good stadium, decent facilities. You know, it's got a decent history. It's not a big club, but it's got a strong fan base, and you know, they could do a lot with that club. And you know, we've seen City, we've seen PSG, we've seen these sort of clubs build. Obviously, as I mentioned, financial fair play is probably not going to allow it to go to that extent, but they could definitely build something from it. But there are questions like the morals and the ethics that, you know, they have to be questioned, and, you know, it's very valid for that to happen. But, you know, let me know about your thoughts about this. You know, if any more interviews with certain people in football come around, I'll be sure to ask them about this issue, because it's a very interesting issue and topic, and one that's been widely talked about right now. But remember to like, comment, share and subscribe. You know, let me know what your thoughts are about this issue, and you know, are Newcastle United going to be challenging that top 6 in the near future? I hope you enjoyed this video, and as I mentioned, like, comment, share and subscribe, all that good stuff, and remember to stay safe, and see you.